thanks for joining us today and welcome to our very first Sugar Office Hour. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenna Carrillo. I'm a Customer Success Manager here at BrainSell, and I'm going to be your host for today. I'm joined by Sugar engineer John Boyce, who will be highlighting some new features in version 13. Most of you should be upgraded by now if you're up in the cloud, but if not, if you have an on-premise system, no worries. Please ask any questions that still come to mind as we're going through the demo. We can discuss upgrading or any questions you have around that if you're not on version 13 yet. And then behind the scenes, I just wanted to give a shout out who's running the deck and put on this wonderful event, Karsten Pollard, our customer marketing manager. So just some quick housekeeping items. If you do have a question, please use the questions box to submit any questions during this hour. We're going to do our best to answer everything. We have an excitingly big crew today, but if we can't get to your question, we'll definitely follow up after the webinar. So yeah, let's just hop into it. Quick agenda, some topics that we're going to be covering. And as a reminder, feel free just to ask questions as you think of them. We're going to be capturing them in that chat. And we're here to answer. We're going to take some pauses throughout to make sure we can get to as many questions as possible live. And then some of the items that we're going to be showing are also admin functions, and some are capabilities for all users. So we'll also indicate which is which as we go. I know that we have some folks here that are your instances admins, and then some regular users as well. And then for clarification, the demo that we're going to be using is SugarCell Advanced. So I know many of you folks also use Sugar Premier, Sugar Market, Serve, Enterprise, or Essentials. Please let me know if you have any questions about the different versions as well. I wanted to just kick it off with the difference between Cell Premier and Cell Advanced. I get this question all the time. So the main difference here for Cell Premier, it has capabilities for the complex business with built-in AI and that enhanced support, as well as more data that comes with your instance, as well as per user, more data storage allocation per user. And then also all of the capabilities are included in Premier. That's Hint, Connect, Maps, Automate, and Discover. Discover is actually exclusive for Sugar Premier. And then SugarCell Advanced has that enhanced Salesforce automation that a lot of you are familiar with, that also extends to mail and calendar integrations with standard support, 15 gigabytes of data storage, and it has the capability to add a la carte those enhanced features like Hint, Connect, Automate, and we wrote Discover here. Discover is just exclusive with Cell Premier. So if anybody has any questions on that, just drop them in. But other than that, I want to pass it on to John, and we will hop right into our demo.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, whichever it is for you. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yep. Okay.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about today is the new rail navigation, which was added in version 12.3. They've updated a little bit in version 13. So for most of you who've been using Sugar for a while, you're going to know that the navigation was moved from the top up here where it just now says search. We had all of our modules listed across up there. And now we moved it over to what they're calling this rail on the side. That's the term used for that, the blue bar down the side. So out of the box, Sugar shows just these 4 icons. And it shows the icons of the most used modules in the application, which is accounts, contacts, opportunities, and leads. All the other modules can be accessed using the what we refer to as the hamburger stack up here. I'm not sure what the marketing folks call it, but our developers, we call it the hamburger stack. So clicking on the hamburger stack will get you to the rest of the modules here for those that aren't in the list. Also, just since we're talking about the hamburger stack, if you come down here, you find the 3 dots on top of each other. That's the meatball stack, keeping with the theme. So if I refer to those later, you'll know I'm either talking about the 3 lines or the three dots. So you can see in my rail here, I've got more than 4 icons. So in version 12.3, it was limited to 4, and 13, they gave us the ability to add more. This can be, the default value can be set by the administrator, but users can put as many as they want over here, provided the administrator has given that ability, and that ability out of the box comes already set. So if you were to add more icons to your side, you would come over here to your profile menu and click edit. And then on the advanced tab, I have to find, oh yeah, right here, number of pinned modules. So if you change this number, it will change the number of modules over on the side. The ones that are displayed, so I've got 8, it's going to be the first 8 in this list here. I'm not going to change anything and show you guys the changes because it takes a little bit to kind of redraw everything and set it up, but you can come over here and click, if you want quotes to be at the top, move that up, and then when I hit save, the quotes icon would move from here up to the top. So this is the first, in my case, 8 of the modules in this list. So you guys can play around with that and see how those change as you move them around. 8 seems to work well for me. Just as I said, Sugar's decided that 4 is what most people use in the system. As an administrator, you're always looking for other things to get to. So you might want to add some more. Reports I find useful for a lot of people as well. So yeah, you can play with this, get it set up the way you like it. What works best for you to help you with your job. For the administrator, let me go back to the admin section here. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the admin section, but just so you can, if you're not, so you can tell your administrator about this if they don't already know. On the admin page, there's 2 sections that we'll look at here in relationship to the rail. If it had a little bit of a delay here. There we go. Down in this developer tools section, there's something called navigation bar and subpanels. And in this section, this is where the administrator gives the default number of pinned modules here. And it also, this is where they can toggle on and off whether or not the users can do it. So the administrator can come back here, uncheck these boxes, set this to whatever number they want to, and all the users will have, that's what they will have available. They will not be able to change it. So just so you know, if you're talking to your administrator, let them know how that should be configured. The other thing administrator has access to now that we have the bar over here, we're using icons in the module names and icons. You can actually change the icons. There's a very long list of icons here to choose from if you don't like them, or if you have custom modules and you don't like the kind of standard boring icon, if you can find something in this list that's a little more interesting for that, you can choose that. You can change those here. This color here changes the background of the icon or the abbreviation when you're looking at that. And you do also have the ability, if you don't like the icons at all, some people don't learn the pictures, they don't want to mouse over and see the module come up, you can actually just change it to an abbreviation and just type in the letters that you want to have on the bar over there. So those are some updates to the navigation, the rail. So I just wanted to stop and check right now. Are there anybody have any questions about the rail?
So I do see right here, question. So we have to wait till we're on Sugar 13 for the ability to pin more modules.
Yes, they got 12.3 out just to get the navigation moved. That was kind of their goal with that, and they immediately heard from other people that they wanted to be able to put more modules over there. So that was kind of the next thing in the queue. But Sugar 13 was released. Where are we? We're in May, so last month. Most people should be upgraded by now, or in the queue for upgrading shortly. On premise, you will have the ability to upgrade to version 13, and that's available now. So In the cloud, they get updates every quarter. On premise, you get all those updates bundled up into once a year. So.
And then another question, what's the max total of Rail modules that can be displayed?
Oh, I haven't done the total yet, but it looks, this is about, I guess it's how big do you want to stretch your window? Across how many screens? Because I'm seeing this is about 8, so I guess I could get about 8 more, 16. But if you stretch your window across 2 screens, you could probably get more than that. It's just going to be about whatever fits in here.
Great questions. All right.
Anything else?
Nope, I think we're good to move on to the next one.
Okay, so after talking about the rail, we wanted to just take a quick poll here and find out who prefers the rail top navigation to the rail navigation.
Give everyone just a couple seconds to answer. All righty, so do you prefer the new rail sidebar layout or the old navigation bar? 48% with the new sidebar rail layout, okay. 19% with the old navigation bar, 33, it doesn't matter to me. Great feedback. Pretty close.
and I'm starting to see this in a lot of web applications. They're all moving to the menu off to the side now, so that you kind of have a full setting there of without the menu taking up the whole top of the section. So, all right. So next I want to go into there's a big update to the reports dashlet. So I'm looking here at the home dashboard. For those of you who don't know, you've had the ability to add charts to your dashboard by putting it in the reports dashlet. So first thing you'll notice here is when I come to add a dashlet, this used to be called the saved reports chart dashlet, which is a big mouthful. They've now reduced that to just the report dashlet. So it's almost in the same spot it was in the list before. Then once you add that, the real power comes in the fact that we now have these 3 icons right here. I want to show it on this chart here. So I've gone through, I've selected a report out of the reports module, and we'll be moving into the reports module following this. That I now have the ability to look at the chart here. I can click on this grid here and see the table of the data that makes up that chart that's behind that. And then I can, on the fly, change any of the runtime filters. So if I wanted to change this from this year to this quarter and apply that, now this report changes here for me, and it's going to remember this for me, just like it does with the filters back in the reports. Every time I come in now, it's going to say by quarter. So you can see I had already changed it because this is by quarter. The name didn't change with it, but then if I want to put it back to the year, then I can find, and you can choose any of these things and set that up. So now I can see Q1 and Q2. Those are the really big, powerful items that I see that come up with this. So also when setting up this dashlet, we've been given a lot more things to configure. So if you come up here to the gear icon, which is the configure, and click edit, you've got 4 tabs up here now, where before we only had the 1. So here's where we select the report, and this is, you can choose when the default is, do you want it to show the chart, the data table, or the filter. This is the default. As soon as someone clicks on one of the other buttons, that's what it's going to remember for them. You also have the ability to auto refresh. So you can say auto refresh every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. This is only useful if you just leave your dashboard sitting all day long and you never leave it. Because every time you come to your dashboard, it's going to go rerun all the reports, get all the current data, and show it again. But if you were to leave this sitting for over 15 minutes, then it would redraw with any new data that came in. Now we have a chart tab, which some of this was on the tab before, but you actually have the ability to, just because in your report you made this a vertical, a bar stacked type graph, you can choose any of the other chart types in here when you view it on the dashboard. You also have your sort orders here, and then labels that you want to put down here. I always like to put up the total and the legend, just because the legend, I'll just add those. I like the legend because it lets me remove data. So I have the ability here, if I click this, that's now not being displayed, or vice versa. I can remove that one and it's just showing this. So you can quickly dig in a little bit. And for those of you who don't know, you also have the ability that if you click on this bar, it's going to take you into and show you all of the records that are making up. So right now I'm looking at all the records that make up this top light blue section of that chart. After that, we have the data table, your sort order here, and if you wanted to show the total record count, and then the filter, what do you want to set that default value to? Are there any questions about the new report dashboard?
I have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
If a user changes the options on the dashlet, it changes only for their user. But if a change is needed for all users, then you should make the change in the report. Is that correct?
So it's kind of like everything else. You have a default, and once that someone changes it from the default, then they stay that way until they come and change it, or they can come back here to the meatball stack and reset the dashlet to the defaults. But yes, the answer is if I make changes here, this is only for me. Everyone else, when the first time they come here, they're going to see the default values until they start making changes. If you make enough changes to the underlying report, that would then make the selections they've made here in this dashlet, they wouldn't make sense anymore. Maybe you removed a field or something. Then they would get back to the default value and start from there.
I don't see any new questions just yet.
All right, then I will move on to reports. So this kind of lends its way right into reports. So now if you notice when I click on the meatball stack here, I can view report. So this is actually going to take me to the report that this is based off of. So if I click on that, I'm now going to the reports module.
And then John, while we're just one came in real quick, can you add data label?
So there is on the chart, you can show the labels down here in the labels section. And this probably doesn't make a lot of sense for most people, but if you wanted to change these, you obviously see that you have the ability to change those here. Now that I can come in here and call this just quarter and amount, or maybe we say total amount.
Very good.
So now that adjusts up here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So now back over to the reports here. This has changed a little bit from about a year ago. This is completely different from a year ago, and it's even changed from 12.3 to 13. The update of the reports. Sorry, as you can see, I got here from the meatball stack, so I'm in here now. So the first question I wanted to ask here is just how often do you guys use reports? Because to me, this is a very powerful part of Sugar, and curious to see how many people are using reports in there.
And we have a poll. So as John said, how often do you use reports? Multiple times a day, multiple times a week, once a month, or never? Let us know.
I'm a visual person, so I love to come in, create reports, get my charts together, and just have a whole dashboard full of charts, so I can log in a day and glance at my dashboard and know what's going on, or know where I have a problem.
Ooh, okay, great. What do we have here? Multiple times a day, multiple times a week. That's great. Once a month, that could be, depending on the user type. And then never. All right, we'll talk about that. We'll get in touch with you because, as John said, it is a wonderful visual when you're just logging into your instance and you can look at your dashboard and just see everything there if you're a visual kind of person. So thank you for responding.
So a couple of things they did here for performance wise. If you generate a report that returns more than 300,000 records, that's just going to automatically be exported and downloaded to your computer. That's not the new way they're displaying this, because this is all in the browser now. It doesn't really lend itself to being useful when you've got more records than that. If you have any number of records in the report between 30,000 and 300,000 records, then you got the opportunity of putting that in a more simplified table in order to speed up the display of the report. So they're trying to give us some performance improvements. I don't know, that seems like a lot of records to me. If I'm doing that, I'm usually trying to group them into customer types or sales stages and things to see that. But to have 300,000 records that's tough to kind of look at unless you really are downloading it for a whole other purpose and use it somewhere else. So now in 13, we have a number of icons up here to the top right. The first three here allow for hiding or displaying the filter, table, or chart. And the last two allow for displaying the chart and table above each other or next to each other. So here, if I click on, so you can see the funnel here, the filter, it's got a number 1. It's telling me I've got one filter here. If I click on that, it's going to take that little section away. If I click on the grid here, it's going to take the table away. And then put those back, it'll let me take the chart away. You always have to have either the table or the chart, one of those. So then the next two, right now, you can see the boxes stacked on top of each other and my chart stacked on top of my my table, or I can click this other one and they can go side by side. Then I could remove the filter if I need a little bit more space. They're just giving us a little bit more, and you could adjust the size here as you need to, but he's just giving us the ability to see this in a way that's friendlier to us, or how easier for us to understand. We all view things differently, so they're just giving us that ability. So the menu over here is now moved to the standard action menu that we have in other modules. So the refresh is being the main button, and all the other actions are in below it. So here's your edit, share, duplicate, and so on. This was there was, I believe, in 12.3 there's a meatball stack over here for that to pop up, and the refresh is the arrows in a circle. So this is just bringing it in line with other modules. In the filters pane here, you'll see this list icon here. This will show you a list of all of the filters. So you can see here that I am only seeing this expected close date of this year. This is the runtime filter. And I'm going to show you guys how to add those and remove those in a minute. There's also another filter on here, which is, it's only showing me the opportunities that are closed won. So this lets us see all of the filters and how they're put together. So this is, it has to be closed won and the expected close date is this year. So that's an easy way. The old way we had to figure out what the filters were. We'd have to click the edit button and go back to the beginning of where the filters are set. So I like this. Now we can just pop on that and see if we're seeing all the filters here or not. Then you got the meatball stack here. If you make changes to the filters, again, you can reset it to the default. And then I'm not sure why this is here. It's not going to be useful for most business people because you can copy the filter summary, but unless you guys are familiar with the JSON format, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It puts on a clipboard, you can paste it somewhere, and it's a bunch of formatted data that you can send to somebody who understands it, but I'm sure there's a reason for it, and it will become clear in the future. So if I come up here to the action menu now and I click edit, like I said, this takes me back to the beginning of editing the report, and you can see these little boxes out here called runtime, right? So we saw the expected close date filter because this box was checked. We did not see the status filter because this box is not checked. if I check this and save it, I will now see this is added up here, and I can make changes to this now. And now that I've done this, this will also be available up on the dashlet for this report as well, because I've now added this as a runtime filter that's can be changed. It's called runtime because you can change it when you run the report. So runtime filter is the term for that. So I'm just going to put that back. Oops. Keep missing. There we go. Because I always want it to be one. All just the opportunities that are one. That's all I care about in this report. Excuse me, are there any questions about the updates to the reports module?
Not yet. We'll see if any come in. I'll let you know.
There's not many questions. These guys are too smart for this.
No questions.
All right. So the last thing I wanted to cover today are focus drawers. Now they aren't new; they've been around for a while. There've been some updates to them, and I'm not sure that everyone's familiar with them or knows how to make best use of them. I think they're a really powerful tool. So first, I'm going to go over here to my accounts list view, and when you're looking at the list view, everybody should be familiar with the eyeball all the way over here on the right, which I can click on that, and it shows me all of the fields for this record, whereas up here the list view, I've only got the ones that have been added up here. It's not all of them unless you've added all of them. And I have the ability here that I can click this pencil and I can make changes to any of the fields that are in the list here, and then I can save it. I have the ability to make changes to these fields over here in the list, so I can double click on this and make changes and save that, but this is a subset of all these fields. So similarly, the focus drawer, which as I mouse over the name of the account here, you can see the icon come up here. So it's going to open the focus drawer and put the focus dashboard in it. And it also allows you to edit right here. So this is the information about the account. And it allows me to edit by clicking here and making changes to this. But it also is showing me where the preview just shows me this information. The focus drawer shows me this information and related information. So this is the timeline for this account. So I'm seeing the tasks, the calls, the meetings, everything that's going on here for this account without having to leave the list view. And I can, go to the next one and bring it up. I can work my way down and quickly. So if I had my favorite accounts here, favorited them and filtered to that, I can quickly run through my favorite accounts and get an idea of where they all are at any given time. The new thing that they've added here is they've given us the ability to start adding these subpanels for these records that we're looking at the focus drawer. So for instance, if I go and bring up this XYZ funding and I come down to the subpanels here, I'm seeing the contacts, the opportunities, all of the related records in the system to this is the subpanels. If I go back up to the list view and bring up the focus drawer, because these have been added, I can also see the contacts that are here, the opportunities, contracts, whatever we have added. And you also have the ability, just like with all the other record lists, I can either double click or click on the pencil over here, and I can actually change. I'm on the accounts list view looking at the focus drawer for that record, and I'm editing a related account or contact for that. So this is, to me, is really powerful that I always have a list going on, and I will typically right click and open in a new tab. But with these tools they've given us, we don't have to do that anymore. We can quickly review all of this information and like I said, run through a list of them very quickly, looking for either the recent updates, or if you're looking for something, I typically use the like I said, the preview if I'm looking for something, and I can't remember which one it was, but I remember that it was in Pennsylvania somewhere. So I'm running through here going, oh, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. But it's quickly loading this in without me having to open this either in a new tab or click on this, go over there, come back, go over there, come back, go over there, come back. So I find both of these tools to be very, very powerful. They both have their uses, and I just want to make sure that everyone was familiar with the focus drawer here. And like I said, this is just a dashboard. Now the base one here is editable only by the administrator. So the administrator gets to set up kind of what the base dashboard looks like, but this is just like any other dashboard. You guys can go manage dashboards, create your own and put them in here, and then you would just access them through this. But yeah, this is a really, really good feature that I'm enjoying now. So you guys have any questions about the focus drawer?
I do see. Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. So I do see one question that came in just a couple minutes ago. So we're hosted by Sugar and still on 12.3. Is there any way to tell when we will be upgraded?
Yeah. So everybody who is listed as an administrator in your system should get an email. Jenna, what is it, about a week out to say that you are scheduled to be upgraded on this date? They'll do it overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll go home one day and come in with a new version the next. I mean, we can ask that, Jenna, can't we? I don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I know there's some way
this
we can find out. I just don't know it.
Yeah, no, for sure. After this, I'll definitely look into see if that is on the schedule just yet, since they are winding down. Hopefully they have pretty much the last few to go. So we'll let you know. And then, oops.
No, I was just going to say, for anybody that doesn't know how to find out what version you're on, if you come up here to the profile menu and drop down at the about, it'll tell you right here.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And then where do you edit the fields in the focus drawer? Is it under Studio?
Oh, yeah. So, all right, let me. Oops. So in the focus drawer, this is called the record view dashlet here. And while we're talking about it, this is the preview here. This is called the preview view. So in the admin section under Studio, we were looking at accounts and the layouts. So here's the record view dashlet, and here's the preview view. So yeah, so you can just drag these fields around to wherever you wanted them to be. The preview view is only on one column, so you move them around that way. If you haven't made any changes to these, then they're just going to be whatever's on the record view. So they'll follow the record view until you start making them different.
Thank you. And then another one came in. Thank you everyone for these great questions. Whether in the focus drawer or preview, if there's a field that is not modifiable by default, are you able to change that?
So some of those, it depends on why it's read-only. If it is set up that my security restrictions won't let me change that, then sure, the administrator can go in and change it so that I can change that, but I shouldn't be able to change it anywhere. If it's read-only for me, then it's going to be read-only for me no matter where I'm looking at the record. Some of these, if it's a calculated field, no, you won't be able to change that unless you're going to remove it from being a calculated field. But it's calculated field by nature is read-only because it's a calculation based on other information in the system. Not sure if that answers the question or.
And I'll follow up after.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll be following up with everybody after me and Dylan, just to make sure we answered the question. So I think that, let me just make sure I scroll. I think that's all for now for questions.
If we want to broaden it out, are there any other questions? I don't want to get down a rabbit hole, but related or almost related questions.
Yeah, anything sugar, this is what this time is here for, folks. So any questions you have about your instance, how to do something, even if we haven't covered it, if it's not specific to version 13, drop your questions in here and hopefully we can answer them for you. I do, oh, and then before I get ahead of myself, I see, okay, admin impersonation. How do I see what my sales team sees so I can make sure preferences are correct?
Oh, we had that on our list of things to talk about. I must have made it to off. Yes, we did want to talk about that today because that's been around for not too long, at least version 12. So as an administrator, if you go to SugarCloud settings, which is where you'll see your list of users. This is for people who are in the SugarCloud using the Sugar identity. If you look at the list of users, there is over here next to the lock icon, if you click the down arrow, you can impersonate, and this will log you in as that person. So if I click on that, it now puts this purple bar across the top and says, I'm currently impersonating Andrea, and then the finish button. So now I'm an administrator, but I don't see the administrator button here because I'm not logged in as me. I'm logged in as Andrea. So this is how you can set up your roles, your teams, any kind of security configuration, and then you can impersonate someone who's on that role or team and make sure you're only seeing what you think they should be allowed to see. And if they see more, then you need to go back and make some adjustments. But yeah, this was really powerful that they added in recently. By recently, I mean within the last year or so.
Okay, great. And then I do have one more here that I see. I just want to make sure I'm scrolling. Okay, yep, one more here. So back in the focus drawer, when you were switching between the accounts, I saw different squares. Is that something I can set up? And can John also help me set that up? So kind of like a twofold question.
So I guess by squares you mean the dashlets, the boxes that everything's in. Yeah. So this standard one, the accounts focused dashboard, is editable by the administrator only because this is the kind of company box. This is what you want everyone to see. And these can all be moved around. I'm an administrator, so I can move these around. If I feel like these need to be in a different order, I can edit this and change these tabs that are here, add or remove them. But as an end user, no, they can't move these around. They can come up here to manage dashboards. Sorry, they can start here because this is easier and duplicate this dashboard to create their own. And then basically just think of this as a save as. They're taking the one that's the official company one, they're saving it as their own, and then they can go make changes to their version of it. So it won't affect anyone else. They just get to have their own copy of this dashboard, and then they can adjust it as they want to.
Very good. And then another one just rolled in as well. Are there any plans to have the planned activities dashlet in the focus drawer show activities across all modules versus just the module they're related to?
So we should be able to put that in here. And so this doesn't have anything showing me that it's related to the record I'm looking at. So this should have all the ones that are mine. Now it's added it down to the bottom where you can't see it. But these would be all of my activities. not specifically related to this. Just like this history here is the same way. This stuff here is not related to the module we're looking at. Which gets confusing because this timeline is related to it, the comment log is related to it, the opportunity metrics is related to it. These are not. So it just depends on the dashboard itself as to what you're looking at. If you wanted to see the activities related to this module, then we would need to add them up here. And you can see that in, I'll see if I can find one real quick. Oops. There are dashlights that have a checkbox that say related to current record. I'm trying to think if I can find one real quick. No. Well, the list view does that, right? So I can make a list view here just to show my accounts, or I can check this box here that says relate to current record, and it will show me in this case, the accounts related to this account as it's a members, or I could say the contacts. So it's going to show me the contacts related to this record. I'll get rid of that, my contacts related to this record. So this will just be contacts related to this account. Again, it's going to put it down here. So these are just, which this is the same thing as this here. I like this better because it takes up less space. You don't always need to see that. And if you just have to make that one click, I don't see that as too big a deal. I'd rather make this click and scroll down to the bottom to find it. Obviously, these can be adjusted to whatever width and height and space you want them to be in.
Alrighty, wonderful. Well, last shout, we do have some more time if you do want to ask any questions. I know sometimes the questions start rolling in like once everything hangs up, so feel free to reach out to us directly afterwards. We're going to be following up with some information from this, but I just wanted to thank everyone again, for these wonderful questions. I hope this was helpful. And I wanted to take some time to talk about a pretty sweet deal that we have going on. And I wanted to bring it up because we're offering it to just you attendees here as a thank you so much for, participating and answering these poll questions and hanging out with us for lunch. So if you find yourself needing some assistance with anything SugarAdmin related, we have the answer for that. And, that's setting up these dashboards, reports, configuration, user management, anything along those lines. Through next Friday, we're going to be having this promotion for SugarAdmin as a service. It's one of our new services, and you can get 1 month for free with a 12-month subscription paid annually, or you can pay month by month for 12 months. And then also 10% off any new Sugar license ads. So again, this is just a big thank you so much for attending this. You folks are going to be the only ones that are able to take advantage of these deals. So let me know if you have any questions. But thank you all again so much for joining us, and thank you, John, for sharing your knowledge. Please join us next quarter for our next office hour, where we're going to be discussing forecasting. We're going to be going over what it is, why it's useful, and answer all of your questions around that. We'll be sending over a registration link, and then if you do have any additional questions that come up or are interested in working with John one-on-one or taking advantage of our SugarAdmin as a service, we have this QR code. You can scan it and learn more. Contact me or Dylan. We'll be sending out, just as a reminder, our contact information. And so, yeah, let us know anytime. Thanks again. I don't see any more questions rolling in, but if you do have them, let us know, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.